Yeah. It's the mafia. Yeah.
He's a monkey with cymbals in his hands instead of just catching the
and
doing this.
They're giving us like a 24-hour go feed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a Bill City. Yeah, a Buffalo Bill City. Yeah, we got Josh Allen, got Steph.
I know they mentioned something about an ultrasound to check the nerve endings and everything.
Hopefully
else
he's not pregnant. That would
Hopefully
be a disaster. I hear that's a 9-month timeline to recover from at the minimum, is what I've heard.
Yeah, Ike McKenzie on a jet sweep. Maybe it's a fake. Honestly, it's a TD either way when you got Josh Allen making plays. Win a ball before we get a new stadium.
Someone's making a new Twitter at some point. Maybe we should do that.
Honestly, I'll just start a shared Google Doc, and that'll be our new Twitter. That'll be our new Twitter.
Just people just adding shit in.
Anonymous Hedgehog is saying "fuck your mom." Like.
This is our team forever. It is forever. We got Josh Allen, got Steph.
Folks, welcome into the final regular season Picassos pregame show here on the Crowdus podcast. Regular season, it has been, I swear, I if you told me that, like, and won't say his real name, but the Punt God saga was part of this NFL season, I feel like the meme of the guy getting older and older and older as things should. It's just, I can't believe that this is still the 2022 season. But here we are.
Hell of a ride.
It's been a season to remember. Maybe it's been a season to forget. I don't really know. I think we're all a little confused about how to feel about this right now. One thing I know we're all feeling is it's going to be a raucous atmosphere in Orchard Park for Bills versus Patriots. Jake Micah, you will not be there. You are quarantined in your Chicago apartment right now, but you're bringing all the Bills vibes, the Buffalo vibes with that beautiful black and red goat head jersey. How are you doing over there? How are you feeling about this one on a Sunday afternoon in January?
Well, yeah, I decided that if today feels just like a goat head type of day, if that we can get that type of scoring effort from the Buffalo Bills today, that would be nice. That was, I think, and I did want to just touch on that because that was kind of a precursor to what we're going to see in that stadium, probably times 5 with the amount of people and everything else that atmosphere is looking like, has looked like this morning from everything I've seen and will be before game time and everything else. It was a incredible atmosphere last night for that Sabres win in overtime and expecting the same today. If you missed it yesterday, we had a great conversation with Rob and Mundy about Damar Hamlin and just of working through the last week and everything. So please go catch that. Obviously, that is the focus across the league today, is praying for Damar Hamlin. We know the Bills are going to honor him in different ways. We've seen the T-shirts. I know coaches all have hats with the 3 on it. The fields, every field, 3 will be outlined. So everything is focused on Damar Hamlin. But like we said yesterday, Mario Hamlin on Wednesday night demanded that the Bills get ready to finish their mission and go on, including this game against the Patriots. So that's what we're going to try to do here. We didn't talk about the game at all yesterday. Still don't really know what to expect. But wait, I think I figured something out, Wake. You know what I think that's going to happen? I think the Bills
what did you figure out?
1 billion points. I think that's what's going to happen today. I think that's,
you know what? That is a bold prediction. And I think over under of 999,999.5. I might take the over with you. I can't lie to you. This seems like, there's nothing to play for the Bills right now. Obviously, they're playing for a neutral site AFC Championship game with the new rules that the league laid out following the no contest ruling of Bills versus Bengals. So there are some things they can gain from winning this game. I imagine that they're going to want to, and any team's going to want to be able to do this. But this week of all, week 18 in the year of our Lord 2023, they're going to want to get out to a big lead and have Josh and at least some of the starters not have to worry about a damn thing for the fourth quarter. I feel like that is kind of the way that, it's like if they were to drop to the 3, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Like, especially with all these weird scenarios of everything going on, the health of these players long-term. especially seeing how they bounce back from everything that's happened since Monday. Obviously, you know, like you said, like we talked with Robin yesterday, this team has bounced back from adversity all year long, whether it's the both blizzards, whether it's Luke Knox passing away. You know, there's so much has happened to this team where there's no doubt in my mind they'll be able to get right and be able to perform on the football field. Seeing one of your best friends, one of your family members, one of your brothers almost die right in front of you, that's a whole nother animal. If there's anyone, though, that's going to get them on this field ready to do it, it's Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's going to have them ready to go and kick Bill Belichick's teeth in. They're going to make him consider retiring after this game. The fact of the matter is that these are two teams in two very different life stages of an NFL franchise. The Bills are like hitting their apex right now. And we don't know if the Patriots are at their lowest or if they're right about to get there. And it seems like, you know, people are like calling for maybe Mac Jones isn't the starter there next year. I feel like he has a chip on his shoulder of something to prove, that he's not just, you know, basically a copy and paste of Drew Brees from his last year in the NFL. But to come against this defense, this secondary, especially, who has something special to play for. The entire team does, but you know Dane Jackson's going to come in here wanting, you know, licking his chops a little bit for some Mac Jones interceptions. Jaquan Johnson or Dean Marlowe for a 6th-round pick in the middle of the season now. Let's talk about that. That is a huge trade.
Now it's vital now. It's vital now. I think one of the biggest things that you mentioned there is just how motivated that defense is going to be all day, and being home, regardless of anything going into this week. I would have thought being at home against this Patriots team, they only got 10 points in their home building against this defense a couple weeks ago. I don't think they're going to be. I think they're going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball. It's going to be, if the Bills hurt themselves, that will end special teams. Really, so those kinds of opportunities are where the Patriots are going to try to take advantage and try to close the margins and make this a fight. But if the Bills should be able to outclass this team, especially I think specifically flexing the defensive muscle. I do think Allen and Diggs are going to try to have a huge game together, mostly just for the one thing of the secret conversation that no one wants to talk about going into this week, is that they need to get, Diggs wants to get his stats up. Like, if you're looking at the end of his career, like, he's going to get judged by this season regardless if he gets 16 or 17 games. And I think that Allen knows that and wants to do right by his guy. And so I really think that will be the focus of the passing game, is Allen to Diggs for most of the game. But I think the Bills are going to try to run the ball a lot, like just like we have. James Cook, Devin Singletary, maybe some Allen, but probably not as much as I would have thought if they were trying to battle for the 1 seed. I think that they save kind of those wrinkles for whoever they're going to have to play next weekend in the super duper wild card weekend. Shout out Greg Thompson, he does not like super wild card weekend. I'm like, we could keep it rolling, baby. Let's just keep it rolling.
No, let's keep adding adjectives. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just a Mad Lib of a weekend, and I love it.
Here's the thing too, is if Lamar Jackson's coming back next week and the Bills are in lockstep with the 2 seed, winning this game, it being important, there is a world where the Chiefs can lose in the divisional round to the Ravens, to the Chargers, to the Jaguars.
Oh, they're not a perfect
played them extremely close. You know, like remember the Jags, how that game played out with that Chiefs game. It was back and forth a little bit, but I think that the way we see them now, I'd rather be in the highest position, because if that Chiefs upset happens, you could be hosting the Jaguars or the Bengals or, you know, someone of that nature in the AFC Championship very quickly. Very quickly. These things turn on their heads very quickly. And this feels like a year in the AFC where anything could happen. And that counts for the Bills too, who are going to have, if even in the 2 seed, the Steelers are going to be an interesting matchup. What if Tua comes back next week and it's the Dolphins? I mean, that's we know what that has looked like. Both those games were incredible this year. So it's an interesting spot to be in. But I do think the AFC is up for grabs all around, and locking in that number 2 seed, the neutral site being your worst case scenario and best case scenario, otherwise being home, take that all day, things considered.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned Diggs. You mentioned our friend, some guy Steve from Happy Hour Hoops, the Degenerate Danger Zone. His favorite bet of the day is a Diggs anytime touchdown. For as great as Bill Belichick is, the god of war, the Sun Tzu, art of war, all the war and art and God things is Bill Belichick. I don't really know what they are.
loves
Da
all
Vinci
those
Code,
things.
we'll throw
I
that
got
in
you.
there too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Why not? Sure. The sequel to that I can never remember either because I'm just not very cultured, I guess. For as much of a genius and a mastermind that he is, shout out Mastermind too, that little game with the colored pegs. I loved that game growing up. Oh my God, great game. I bet I'd beat Belichick at it though, because he just throws digs against man coverage every single time the Patriots play the Bills. And then what happens? They have decent corners. Jalen Mills is inactive today, so there's another guy that won't be able to help with that task right there. But what does he? It's like square peg, round hole, same process, same result all the time. It's not his best game he ever has. I don't think Diggs ever has his best game of the year against the Patriots, but he's always in like the 90-yard range. Like, let's look at what he had last time these teams faced. He had 7 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. And Diggs is one of those receivers where you can reasonably say, if we make him do that, we can call that a win if we hold everyone else in check. The problem is that, in those same games where Diggs is putting up stat lines like that, we remember the Isaiah McKenzie game last year. And earlier this year, he had 5 catches for 44 yards. James Cook had one of his best outings of the season up until recently, honestly. He's really come on as of late, but he had 41 receiving yards in that game too. So, I don't love how this Patriots defense stacks up against this Bills offense, mainly because we might have won the last matchup 24-10. It was a very lopsided 2-score game. That on the field, if you're watching, felt like a blowout. It really, really did. It felt like we could have been up 3 scores. And so, the Diggs,
and it was the Bills,
touchdown.
the Bills choosing to control the game over choosing to blow it open and letting Allen that was the most game manager game we saw from Josh Allen all year. They was like, if the Bills can win with Josh Allen as a game manager, it's not the popular choice, guys, but that's the formula, because then
it's literally what Pat Mahomes is doing this year.
It is. It's the same thing, because then if you need to unleash him, it's always right there, ready to go. You know that he's ready to turn it on at any moment. But if they can win by running the ball and playing good defense, and you win by 14 instead of 28, I'll take that every single day of the week, because that is more sustainable when we get into these January months and those types of games. Those are games that when you talk about, when I'm looking at the playoff bracket at the end of tonight, and trust me, I'll be poring over it. Like I will literally be scrolling Twitter. I can already tell you by 7:30 Central Time, I'll be scrolling Twitter just waiting for the first tweet of the playoff schedule to come up, so I can see exactly what games are on when and start planning out everything for it. But that's like a Herbert situation, like that I want to see, and a Hurts thing that I still want to see. Like, how can you answer when you have to win in multiple different types of ways in a playoff scenario, and then you have to flip your switch? What can you do? We've seen Allen do it. We've seen Mahomes do it. We've seen Burrow do it. That's the biggest question of all these other quarterbacks, though. But from the Bills' perspective, when you have that guy and you know what they've been able to do running the ball, which they have turned it around from the beginning of the season, they can attack you in so many different ways, and that makes them more dangerous than they have been all year long, I think. Passing game issues withstanding.
No, James Cook has been the most efficient running back in the NFL in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I believe, according to Pro Football Focus. Number 2, as I've said on this show, my comp for him, Aaron Jones. They're the same exact running back, and I've been a huge Aaron Jones guy ever since he came into the league. So having an asset like that on this offense, like, we have seen games where Aaron Jones, not Aaron Rodgers, a different Aaron, wins the Packers that football game because he's able to do anything from the backfield. He's able to do anything running his own routes, improvising back there. As he and Josh form more chemistry, he's going to be like what Cole Beasley was, in my opinion, at his peak. But you bring up a good point about how this game was played last time, how it was very game manager-esque. And if this was a normal week, I'd be inclined to say we're going to see the same exact football game. Don't do anything crazy going into the playoffs. Make sure people get in healthy. Don't show too much of the playbook. However, there is a new element to this game, just emotionally, what this crowd is going to be feeling, what these players are going to be feeling. Josh Allen is not going to want to take what the defense is giving him today. He's going to want to be pushing
No.
the envelope. He's going to want to be pushing on a fucking show. He's going to want to throw for 333 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, that's the kind of game that Josh Allen is looking to have today. And so, like, is there a balance of it? Do you think that maybe they come out firing early and then settle into all right, let's milk the clock with some long drives and get out of here as quickly as possible? Like, I feel like it'll be a balance of it. But it's interesting because if you told me they went pedal to the metal for 3 quarters, I would completely believe you because it's what the fans want to go out there and see. And it's what the players, like, just from like a therapeutic perspective, I feel like that would do them all a lot of good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's a pretty good way to think about what their perspective is going to be going into this game, because how could you not want to just like the adrenaline? I can't even imagine what the adrenaline is going to be inside of that building, inside in that game. Yep. And yeah, just I also just think that the Patriots in this scenario, with the motivation and everything else, are just completely overmatched. And what are they going to do? Like,
oh yeah,
and this is just a team, even though they're fighting for their playoff lives and everything else, they just don't have the talent to match up with a Bills team that is gonna play this game like a playoff game, essentially, and act like it's a playoff game going into it in this scenario. I mean, we kind of saw what happened last year in the playoff game. It feels like it's deja vu kind of with this team being back in this sort of spot where the Bills are going to be like, all right, let's go. I don't see the path for the Patriots today. I see today being the day. Yeah. The story of the season for the Patriots has been the frustration of Mac Jones and the offensive staff and everything else. And that's what I feel like the story will be like today. And that's not just like objectively, not just any Bills fan wise or anything. That just feels like if you're looking at these two teams at a crossroads, that's what this is going to be. The Bills, this isn't just this has nothing to do with motivation. They've won 6 in a row. They've turned a corner. Yeah. They're playing their best football and going into the playoffs like you want to be, winning football games and looking their best. And I think today Ian is going to just continue that trend, 7 in a row. And that's just the way that these two teams have been trending recently. So I think that's a smart thing to assume.
Well, getting to the end of the show here, we'll do our predictions. Mine is going to be a bit of a combination of everything that we've said so far. As you said, as I've said, the Patriots are just going to get outclassed today. They are not, despite being fighting for a playoff spot, the Raiders were fighting for a playoff spot 2 weeks ago still. You know, the Steelers with a Patriots loss and a Miami loss can make the playoffs, and we beat them 38-3. Like, this is not in this just because a team is making the playoffs. They have a good defense. They're quote unquote well coached, which you can make an argument about that at this point. There's really, and anytime I come in too confident, I always get a nice big fat idiot sandwich right in my mouth. But you know, it's unfathomable for me to think that the Bills are not going to make a statement for their fans, make a statement to the NFL saying, hey, regardless of everything that happened, we're still here. Be fucking afraid of us right now. I'm saying the Bills win this one 38-13. Mac Jones scores 3 more points than he did last time, so maybe credit to him. Maybe it's 2 touchdowns and a missed extra point. Nick Folk's been pretty goddamn bad this year, so I can see that. But regardless of how the points come for the Patriots, it's not going to be particularly close.
I said 52-17. That's what I think is the final score here. I think this is going to be a part. I think there's a defensive touchdown in there. I think there's a lot of offense. Dane Jackson would be great, but some kind of turnover and just an offensive fireworks show, because I think this defense is going to be overmatched today. And I think Allen and Diggs are going to be particularly motivated, like I mentioned at the top. And when those two get going, it gets special. And Diggs has been so quiet the last couple weeks. It feels like we're due for like a Diggs 13 catch for 170 or something like that type of game today. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. And Allen up over 300, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns, something like that. Got to get those stats up, boys. We got to make it look good with 16 games. So, but no, I just think that that'll be the focus for the offense, and Allen and Diggs, they're unstoppable when motivated. So I'm thinking a dynamic duo brings it home in a big, fun, cathartic experience at Highmark Stadium. And then next week, even though we didn't want it to happen, a wild card home football game. So we'll see what happens.
And who's going to complain about that? Who's going to complain about home playoff football?
I might be there.
Orchard Park, New York.
Who knows?
Oh my God, Jake Micah. I'm going to see you.
I might. I don't know yet, though. I'm gauging ticket prices, see if there is a neutral site game and they do happen to choose Chicago as the site. I will have to save my ticket money for the Chicago site. Also, considering the divisional game, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens today. Maybe we'll do a space or something later. I feel like today would be a good day to connect with some people and get their thoughts on everything going on. So maybe we'll try to do a space on Twitter later if you're free. But we'll talk about that not live so that I don't have to strong arm you into doing anything, Jake Micah. I do that enough. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Go Bills. Continue to keep DeMar Hamlin in your thoughts. And good afternoon now. Let's beat the fucking Patriots.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.